Welcome to the 700 Club. Thanks for joining us. Well, it's just weeks. Well, that's all the time the intelligence community says it would take for Iran to make a nuclear bomb. The Islamic regime has already unveiled new long-range missiles that it claims can reach Israel.
The Biden administration says the window is closing to reach a deal with Iran, and it's making risky concessions to get that deal done. Chris Mitchell reports from Jerusalem.
One senator called the latest estimate on Iran's timeline for a nuclear weapon sobering and shocking. The White House argues it increases the urgency for the nuclear talks in Vienna.
Our talks with Iran have reached an urgent point on mutual return to full implementation of the JCPOA. A deal that addresses the core concerns of all sides is in sight, but if it is not reached in the coming weeks, Iran's ongoing nuclear advances will make it impossible for us to return to the JCPOA.
Critics warn the Biden administration is giving up too much in its pursuit of a deal. Ben Talabou of the Foundation for Defensive Democracy says for more than a year, the White House has been giving into Iran.
I think the Biden administration is rushing and building this case for an urgent need for a deal off of a year of premature concessions, which you saw through indirect sanctions relief, lack of enforced sanctions, turning a blind eye to illicit Iranian oil exports throughout 2021, as well as having no clear plan to push back on the Islamic Republic in the Middle East.
Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett says lifting sanctions emboldens Iran.
Lifting of sanctions and flooding this regime with billions of dollars means more rockets, more UAVs, more terror squads, more cyber attacks, more of everything. And not only against us, but also against our American allies in the region and other allies.
Ben Talabou says the Biden administration is trying to leave the Middle East, but that the Middle East won't leave the U.S.
They're unaware that the Islamic Republic is not only looking to get America out, but to become the hegemon to fill the void, which may in fact create the groundwork for war that may drive the U.S. back in.
Just days ago, Iran unveiled a long-range missile with a reported range of 1,440 kilometers or 900 miles, putting U.S. bases and Israel well within range. Meanwhile, more than 30 Senate Republicans sent a letter to President Biden demanding the Senate have a say over whether the U.S. rejoins the nuclear deal. The original nuclear agreement in 2015 did not receive Senate approval. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I think the last group you want to negotiate with is the government in Iran. They are bent on destroying Israel. They're bent on destroying the United States. They call us the great Satan. Israel is the little Satan. Why in the world would you ever go to a negotiating table with that group? It just makes no sense to me. The entire administration currently is trying this great reset. Let's go back to the Obama era. Let's go back to those policies, and whether it's reopening an embassy to the Palestinians in Jerusalem and to their surprise, finding out under international law you can't do that without Israel's approval, to now saying let's take sanctions off of Iran, let's release the pressure in hopes that we can come to some kind of peace deal and they won't develop a nuclear weapon. It just seems to be some kind of alternate reality where they are hoping to believe that these things can come true, but they're not looking it squarely in the face. Iran's a major sponsor, the major sponsor of terrorism in the region. They are funding Hezbollah. They are funding Hamas. They are delivering drones and missiles to Hamas. They are involved in drone attacks on their neighbors. They're running this proxy war against Saudi Arabia. The list goes on and on and on. Why would you ever want to negotiate?